with that and with the growing number of cases, actions of the county and has been suggested also at the town be to reconsider how we operate an open meeting, potentially limiting the number of people that we have. So probably moving forward, we'll be looking at a new set of plans for how we operate, just to try to make sure that if one of us or anyone in the town happens to get, at least the town employees happens to get test positive, a number of us, depending on the interactions, would be quarantined during that whole time, which would make it difficult for town government then to operate, especially with the public being in here. So we will be looking at a plan similar to kind of what had rolled out back in March, April, May when the pandemic first hit. Of course, now we know a lot more information than we did back then. So that's the first item. The second item, the Chamber of Commerce held their Community Appreciation Award ceremony last month, and our Ticonderoga Police Department was honored, and they had just wanted to recognize the Thai PD for doing all that they do to keep the community safe and working closely with the chambers for various events, making those possible in our town, trying to make sure everything is held safely and with the utmost concern for public safety. So with that, we will jump into public comment, as there are no Board of Health report tonight or presentation. So if anyone would like to address the board, please stand, come to the front of the room. Please state your name and share your comment, your concern, your question.
Is this in lieu of the town board meeting comments, or is this?
This is just public participation. The public hearing will be after.
Yeah.
Public hearing for budget and for
This is public participation on any subject.
any subject, yes.
Okay, I have one. We had a big discussion after the last meeting you had up at Chelsea, out the water up there. Has anything been done? Have you been in touch at all with Lisa Stefanik? I told you I would be your best friend and stand by you 100%.
Yeah.
And I would do the argument. You just get me to the office, and I will talk for you. Have you done anything?
Yes, we're working with our state and federal representatives to set some appointments up. We have not had any ability during the election season, but now that the election's over, we're able to set those up.
Okay, you told me Roy Richardson would be a good guy to get in touch with. I did. Roy Richardson evidently don't like me, because he never got in touch with me. So, my next question is, what have the last discussions been as to what is the water situation going to be up there in Eagle Lake?
So
What is the Eagle Lake plan? Remember, I gave you what I thought would possibly be something to look at. We're going water from Eagle Lake for that area. See this? We don't have that many homes up there now. What's the situation? Have you discussed that with Roy Richardson?
we have had some conversations
And
about,
what is his opinion?
well, he's not here to share that. We haven't gotten to.
He has no opinion?
Well, it's not that he doesn't have an opinion, but we'll be providing some sort of statement at some point here. We just haven't formalized it.
That's the thing. We don't want to hear how much it'll cost or how it can't be done. Once we'd like to hear that it possibly can be done. Because the road's going to be dug up, that we all know. And while the road is dug up, would be the time to do it. The town has the property out there to put in any necessary filtration that would have to be done. It's not like you have to purchase anything. It's already bought and paid for probably over 25 years. And it's just sitting there. With all the latest technology, with solar and all that kind of crap, you would think that that would be given a good look. Now, he must have told you something about that. I wish you'd level with me about what he said.
Well, you had asked specifically about the pipe.
Yes, pipe of water out of Eagle Lake, running it in the direction that the plant is now, the chlorination plant is now, because that's where the filtration plant would have to be built if the chlorination plant could not do the job.
Right, you're talking about using the existing pipe.
Using the existing pipe, piping the water from Eagle Lake to, in that direction, towards where the existing chlorination plant is, because that's where we own the property. That's where a new plant would have to be built, if necessary. Right? And from there, using the existing pipe that we already have, except from the pipe that comes out of Gooseneck. We wouldn't have to use that, but we could use all the rest of the existing pipe. But right now, you wouldn't have to lay all new pipe. That pipe is running, and I believe you probably had one minor breakdown on that in the last 3 years. So you can't say it can't hold water, it can't run water, it can't do this. And it's all underground too. There's no rocks laying on top of it. There's no nothing, it's not bent up, it's underground. And we've had less trouble with that pipe than we've had with all the beautiful town, village areas that you've ever had. So, I know it's probably not a suggestion that you or the engineers want to hear, but it might make sense. And a lot of times in this town, if it makes sense, they don't use it. So, I'd like to hear what they said about it. I really would like to hear that.
Okay, well, I've asked Roy to put together a summary for that, so we can get a summary to you.
I can imagine what his summary's gonna be, but, I mean, if that's the only answer you're gonna give me tonight.
I have a better idea. Much better idea.
Well, where I live, I don't get water from either end,
Discussion between the public.
not from either end.
I should not do.
So,
Thanks, Dick. Anyone else?
Dan Popey, Eagle Lake. I just want to touch with what Dick said. I did contact the engineer, and the engineer did not get back to me with my question. And then I waited a week and sent him another email, and then I got a response of, I met with the supervisor in Essex County, and we're going to put together a website to give you answers. He didn't answer my question. So the residents are not getting answers. I know Joyce can't see me this time, moving back and forth. So the residents are not getting answers, and we all know the water is going to be shut off 2025. I just recently had a conversation with you. And to touch what Dick said, I contacted DOT, and that culvert is going to be replaced in 2021. And once that road is all dug up and that culvert is up, that's less money you have to put into that project. I have the project number if you'd like it.
You're talking about the causeway?
Yeah. They're doing it next year, and that's the perfect time to get on board with it, and it'll save a lot of money.
The causeway.
No, doing a filtration plant up there and running pipe up there as well. Once it's already dug up, you wouldn't have to bear the cost of digging it up.
But you're talking about the causeway.
Yeah, and they're doing other work there. You can go online, I can give you the project
No,
number.
that's okay. The causeway, you know, there's no water that goes past the causeway right now.
Right, but what I'm saying is, they're doing the culvert repair, and they're doing other work. They're on the project list for 2021.
Okay.
It's a method to reduce the cost.
yes, yes, once that road is laid, and we discussed that very thoroughly, once the road is laid down, kiss it goodbye as far as trying to put a line under it. It's not gonna happen. So if you're gonna do it, it's gotta be done then.
So if you could possibly get an answer from Roy that would satisfy both Dick and myself, they're putting up a website, and he's getting, I don't know
No
what he
answer.
said.
Maybe we can get that for that water sewer meeting and give us a review as part of the other topics on that agenda.
the public hearing. First is first public hearing is regarding the Ticonderoga 2021 town budget. As you all know, the state has set limits for tax cap growth of the levy for the town, and the town has stayed underneath that tax cap. And our rates for next year, actually I passed, there's several packets in the back, and it's kind of color coordinated, just the growth of our tax rate year by year, between the town general, town highway, the town fire, and the county, and just to kind of show the general growth rate. So we are under the tax caps, and our tax rate for next year will be actually 2 cents less than what it is this year, combined regarding the general and highway funds. So. Other than that, I will open the floor to anyone who has any questions regarding the town budget.
I have a question on that. The 64,000 that I saw in the budget here for contingency, what is that relative to?
Contingency is just money.
Let's see, the second page, isn't it? Hang on. I had it. Okay. Let's see, I got the budget here. So over, I believe it's on the second page over, you had a $64,000 contingency.
That's the change from last year, but
That's what I want to know. What was it, what was it relative to? What was that contingency for?
What is the contingency? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, what was it?
Yeah, well, contingency by its very definition is money set aside in case there are any issues that unforeseen issues that come up for which you need the money. So most towns put aside a certain percentage of their budget for such instances. So we typically put around $100,000, give or take, every year based on the things that we knowingly or unknowingly anticipate happening throughout the year.
Was there something in your mind though, right now, that money was going to be used for?
No, like I said, it's a percentage that we.
Yeah, you just put it aside just in case you need it.
Well, if you look at the way we operate our town, we do have things that pop up throughout the year, and we use that money for those items.
Yeah, and that's all I'm asking, is
Okay.
you put it aside in case you need it. Okay.
On the very, let's see here on page 4. Oh, sorry, page. On the last page, there's the fire, the town fire, and the Chilson fire districts as well. Chilson remained constant this year, and Tide Fire went up about $1,500.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did you have their budget that I asked you about earlier, was it posted? Because I didn't get it online.
Right, and it will be online. I didn't have a chance to post it just yet.
But that one should factor into your budget. And the exemption report, it's not attached to the budget either?
They will be online, yes.
But you're having the public hearing now without that information to the public?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
It's been available at the town clerk's office, you know, on the website.
Yes, it has to be posted on the website. November 7th is the deadline.
Did you receive, Tommy, a stamped copy from the fire department?
Not after the public hearing that they had on Saturday. We got a budget that they were believing would be passed, but they held their actual public hearing on Saturday.
It was passed on Saturday.
Okay. You stamped that after it's passed, right? Can you get a copy of it, Tanya, just to be able to attach to the document?
Yes, I'll find out why.
And those will be put online. Those will be put online once you have those received. A stamped copy from the Thai Fire.
I'm sorry, somebody was talking.
The stamped copy of the budget from the Thai Fire Department, as well as those exemption report, will be put online. I guess tomorrow, once we receive
Yeah,
that.
Lisa went into the hospital after we voted, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm just asking, because I'd like to make an informed approach decision on
Sure,
this,
sure.
and like to have all the information.
Anyone else for the budget? If the board has any comments?
I have another question on this. So if I'm looking at this budget, I'm looking at, I'm standing up so you can see me.
Sure.
So where I'm looking over here on page 5, and it shows total supervisor, okay, the actual of 2019 was 78,829. The adopted for 2020 is 88,845, is that correct?
I'm sorry, what was page?
Go over to page 5. Okay, over here, you're showing supervisor expenses and all that. Down the very bottom, you're seeing 70,829. Page 5?
Page 5 of the actual budget?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so now you're showing in 2020, 88,845. That's a difference of what? 18,000?
I'm sorry, where? Page 5.
Page 5,
Yep.
you have a total supervisor, 70,829. Of course, that's salaries and that's all that other stuff.
No, I don't see that.
You don't see that. I've got page 5 right here.
So it shows 42.
On the back, the two from the bottom.
Wow.
You're looking at the total?
Yeah, I want to look at the total.
Okay, all right, so
These are supervisor expenses.
Sure.
So now it goes from 70 to 88, 18,000. Can you tell me why? The actual 2019 was 70 and you're adopting 88.
Right, we had put money into a newsletter and to additional professional contractual. So what you're looking at in 2019 is the actual budget. And what you're looking at 2020 was the adopted and the adjusted.
Right.
Okay,
And we're in 220 now. What, the difference was about 18,000,
that's right, yes.
correct? Okay. Do you think that's reasonable?
Yes, I do.
20% more?
Well, that's not, when you say 20%, Frank,
Well, you adopted 88,000, okay, and your actual was 70. I mean, I know
No, we
what
didn't, we
you...
didn't, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I know what you're doing here. I'm just saying to myself, you had 88,000 and you dropped it down to 70. Is that a reasonable 20%?
You had it at 88, you dropped it down to 70.
Yeah, I mean, your actual was 70, but you adopted 88, so you came in about $18,000 less, correct?
Right, well, we added other items to that.
Right.
Right.
And that's fair?
But I don't understand what you mean by fair.
I'm just asking if that's reasonable.
Based on the breakout that you have in front of you, I mean, it indicates what those increases went for.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. That's fine.
Okay. Anyone else on the board?
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question about the town board personnel. In 2019, it was $74,000, or $7,458. 2020, it went to $12,000, which is a 61% increase, and now it's going to go up another $180. Compared to the other municipalities around this area, how does that compare?
Actually, it compares quite well because a lot of the municipalities provide health insurance, and that's what that increase that you're seeing is. There was health insurance offered to town board members and all the part-time elected officials as well as elected officials, full-time elected officials. And in a comparison that was done across all towns in the county, some towns provide that and some towns do not, and they compensate accordingly.
So that's
So what we had done is we had eliminated health insurance, because most were taking it as a buyout, and included that as part of the salary that they earn for doing the work that they're doing in our town. Our town also is the second largest town in the entire county, has a number of more committee meetings and expectations put on town board members than other towns. So those numbers are in line with other towns. I've done the evaluation myself. I'm the one that led it as far as making changes here. So that it's a fair representation for the work that the town board puts in for the community over the course of the year. It's a fair assessment of salary.
Okay, so the salary is one thing, and you're saying there's buyouts, because you have a line item for medical insurance buyouts as well.
Right.
So I'm a little confused by your statement. You have salaries, and then you do have budgeted items for the buyouts. So is the buyout included in their salary or not included in their salary?
No, the bias, there's no buyout in here. If you're looking on page 4, or,
Page 3, medical insurance buyout. There was one there, so now you're saying
Yeah, so
there's
it's-
nobody buying it out? That's
Well,
where the
so it's-
confusion's coming from.
yeah, so there's no longer medical insurance offered to part-time elected positions. So the town board is a part-time elected position, and so is the town justices. Those were eliminated in terms of having the opportunity to have health insurance provided by the town. And the compensation that was put forth into the health insurance was just moved over and given to and put into the salary line item, because that's for the same compensation as what's been provided in years past.
Okay, maybe I'm not understanding what you're doing, but it seems like you're taking the money out of the health insurance, but just paying it to them on salary so they can go out and purchase their own health insurance?
Well, if they would like to purchase health insurance, they can do that, right? Basically maintaining a compensation that's comparable, yes. Like I said, comparing other towns throughout, all 18 towns throughout Essex County, every town does it a little differently. But the compensation is comparable to the work that the elected officials are providing in the town. Some do it through health insurance, some do it through salary.
Do you have that?
Okay, I'd like to add something, and I wanted to bring this up later, but let's do it now as long as this lady over here brought it up. First of all, number one.
Hold on, Frank, before you go, does that answer your question?
Well, kind of,
Yeah.
but I will look at it further.
I'll elaborate a little bit better. First of all, you guys are getting $7,600 a year. Now you're getting $12,180. 36.3% increase you gave yourselves. Joe, you were at 27, now you're at 42. 30.3% increase. Who approved your pay increase? Who approved it? Did the town? No. Who approved your pay increase? See? You did. You approved your own pay increase. Absolutely not. The town should have approved that. This is what's fun, and you give yourself that kind of, and you're trying to explain it away on health insurance and all that baloney. In Ticonderoga, you're getting twice as much as the people in Spur Lake, Northwest.
I think you should go talk to the other elected officials.
I did. I
I
did.
doubt you have, Frank, because I've
Wait a minute. I talked with someone else who did talk. Bill Grinnell talked with Mike Comstock's. You're getting twice as much.
I had a conversation with Tom, and he let me know of the conversation that took place. So
Wow.
I know what your misconception is of this and how you try to twist it.
No.
We're not going to go down that
Joe,
road.
you're
So I'm
getting
sorry.
42 and you're getting 27.
Yeah.
You were getting 76, now you're getting how much now? 12, 12 That is incorrect. You should have had a townwide vote in order to get that money. You just give yourself a pay increase. You can't do that. You can't just randomly say, we need an increase this year. You're spending our money. And don't try to twist it, that's what you're trying to do. This lady is absolutely correct. You're trying to schmooze it, baloney. You guys are overpaid, you get $1,000 a meeting.
Frank, I feel sorry for you because you really have no comprehension of what goes on in town government.
I know what you're doing.
No, so you're done. Anyone else would like to speak? Because we're not going to have this conversation tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to speak on that.
Yeah.
The elected officials and the council persons or council members, I'm moving back and forth, there's this big thing.
You can come up to the front, Deanna, so everyone can see you.
There is a town requirement that their salaries have to be posted in a legal notice.
They were done.
And I don't
That's how they got around it.
Hold on, I'm speaking.
No, they were posted in the
This
legal,
gentleman
Deanna, they
here-
were posted in the legal notice.
Correct.
Yes.
This gentleman here is absolutely 100% correct, that the salaries are a lot lower for Mariah and other areas around Ticonderoga.
Right.
A lot less, and it was posted in the legal.
All I would ask you is to, if you look at compensation on a whole, with the changes that were actually made before I was on the board, was the savings to the town when they eliminated the health insurance as an option for part-time employees. And Mariah, for instance, still offers the health insurance, and if you look at how the health insurance and their salary rolls up, it's more of a cost to the town. So if you look at, personally, when I look at compensation, or when my manager in my full-time job talks to me about my compensation, it's salary, benefits, all of that rolls up as to what your compensation is. And if you look at our compensation for the town, yes, if you look at it from that one line item, but actually if you look at the town board as a whole for all the expense, it's a reduction from 2020 to 2021 by over $3,000. And in 2019 to 2020, it was even more than that because the health insurance option was eliminated. And if you take Joe, for instance, in the past, the supervisor's position, not Mr. Giordano specifically, traditionally, the town funded health insurance for the supervisor, and in addition to that, the county funded health insurance. And in 2019, for the 2020 budget, the board at the time, I was not the board, made the decision to support his thought process that Ticonderoga would now offer health insurance to the supervisor, which was another savings to the town, and his health insurance, if he opts for it, comes from the county. So I think when you look at those things, if you looked at just that compensation number, yes, it is higher from a straight salary standpoint. If you look at the bottom line compensation and what impacts the bottom line as a whole for the budget, it's an overall savings. And if you want to slice out little bits of information, we could all make different arguments, but I think, that really needs to be looked at. I don't want to take any more time in the hearing, but that, does happen, and I can just say, from my standpoint, Mr. Wright is at a lot of meetings, and some other people in the room did spend other meetings. Sewer, water, there's a lot more time than one meeting a month, a couple hours long.
I didn't ask about the meetings a month.
I know, but
I asked
it's,
about salaries, but you
it's-
can't say
I
a
think
salary
I
and
answered
health
your question.
insurance is this number, and then this salary is equal to the salary and health insurance.
that's not,
You're not comparing apples to
yes, I
apples.
am.
No, at salary to salary is apples to apples. I come from a town, I just moved permanently up here, because I just retired. But I come from a town that has 125,000 people. And their town board, you're making 65% of what my town board is making, and they don't get health insurance. And you're making 65% of what they make for 5,000 people?
Yep.
I appreciate your input.
Thank you for your comment.
We should talk, we really should.
The question I have is, so are you saying that before you people got on the town board, that you had no health insurance?
No, the health insurance was just changed 2 years ago.
No, that wasn't my
No.
question. Before any of you were on this board, none of you had health insurance? Did you have health insurance before you were
I
elected?
did, but through my wife, yes.
So you still have health insurance through your wife, and you're getting paid that extra money on top of it?
No, I'm not, that's what.
That was what I
That's what he
said.
just
No, it's
explained,
not.
I took that was taken
No,
out.
that was an option previous to last year, and that was one of the items that was eliminated, which resulted in a savings.
So you both had health insurance before you got this job, so why should you be getting a compensation for health insurance if you already had it?
It was the total benefit package that was provided to the people that were elected to these positions.
Okay, are you using that money to buy health insurance? Is my question.
That would be my decision if I decided to do that.
If you didn't use that money, would you still have health insurance?
Well, I think that's,
I think you would.
I don't think that,
I think you all had it.
I don't really think that's a
Before you come on
discussion
this
for this
board.
meeting. If you have any questions about the budget, we'll be glad to talk about them.
Any other questions?
Yeah, even though you all probably did have health insurance before you got elected to the town board, after you got elected to the town board, you at one point were offered their health insurance plan. And if you didn't take it, you could take the buyout. So if I get my insurance through my wife, okay? Now, if I went got on the town board, and that's part of my package, that is gonna be part of my package now. My health insurance is gonna be part of my package. That means I got what, $1,800? Is that what we're talking about here, $1,800? What I'm talking about for what their package is, okay? And I say, Jesus, my health insurance is, I'm satisfied with what my wife has got. Joe, give me the buyout. I'll take the buyout. So I screwed the town out of $1,800.
So Dick, I think you need to understand something.
No, that's
Well, I
what I
think you need-
understand, Joe. I mean, it's either I'm satisfied with my wife's insurance, but because you're offering me a prize, I don't have to take that prize. I could be a good citizen and say, I don't need it, and it shouldn't be offered. I mean, you're putting money in front of these people, and it's hard to refuse money.
I think that was put there back in the day because it was hard to get people to run for these positions. Now, all we've done differently is change the way in which health insurance, the package, as you called it, which is a good term, is changed, that's it. So it's just a salary figure for doing the work that's required as a town board member, as a supervisor, as any elected official, or any other position in this town. No different than any other position.
It might not be legally wrong, but it's morally wrong to offer a buyout if the people are already satisfied with their insurance. Because it's only taking it out of the taxpayer's pocket.
Right.
That's all it is, it's stealing. It's legal stealing.
Okay. Any other questions on the budget?
Can I ask, and I don't know if you're gonna have this answer, but what positions are civil service and which are not in this budget as far as contractual? I was looking at the percentage increases. I mean, somebody at the refuge and garbage, they're gonna get a $4 raise, but the town board's gonna get a 1.5% raise. The fiscal manager is gonna get, I don't know, double-digit raise. I'll get you the percentage. How do you determine who gets what?
Well, they're not raises, some of these were restructured, they were market adjustments, or they were recrafted into new positions. So certain, like you mentioned, certain groups, certain unions have contracted rates increases based on what was negotiated, and other ones are done.
So is the refuge place that's getting a $4 budgeted, $4 a year? It's on page 32.
In few words.
We saw that, yeah.
And it went from $33,861 to $33,865.
$4 increase.
$4 a year?
Right, that's what was negotiated, yes.
Is that based on the contract?
Those are contracted rates, yes. Part of the union.
But I'm not happy.
And what about the town justices? Is that contract too?
No, those are elected officials.
Okay. I'm just asking whether there's a wide variety of percentage increases across the board, from the supervisor all the way down to the refuge and garbage. Very significant.
So percentage is only helpful if you're comparing apples to apples.
Well, do you want to be
$1,
monetary?
a $4, $3 increase from $1 is a 75% increase, but so is 75,000, $25,000.
Well, could you tell me how much $4, what the percentage of $33,000 is?
I don't have that.
I'm sorry, I can't see because my glasses are getting skinny with my now.
0.0001.
That'd be another.
Right, so
that'd be
it's a
another
less than
example of
1%
the
raise.
package.
Yeah, you don't know the whole.
Okay, any other questions?
Could you answer that or no?
I don't, which, you're asking for a percentage calculation, is that what
You already got it.
Right, I
Zero,
said,
zero,
how do you
zero.
come up
Okay.
with the difference in the percentages? They're
Yeah.
all,
So we have 3 unions in our town,
mhm,
and then the rest are non-union.
mhm.
They're not under a collective bargaining, so we negotiate with each union separately and then try to find between those, for the non-union, try to find the fair equivalent of what the unions have negotiated. So we try to keep everything as much as possible on par.
Don't you think walking up to somebody and saying, we're gonna give you a $4 a year increase is sort of an insult?
But that's not in a collective bargaining agreement. That's negotiated, so say for
He
instance.
negotiated a $4 raise?
Can I finish, please? I want to interrupt you. All I'm saying is some of our unions, some of your collective bargaining organizations might opt to structure their contribution to their health insurance differently in lieu of, say, compensation. And how maybe contributions are made to their retirement. So in order to fully understand that, you'll need to look at the collective bargaining agreements to see what they've agreed to. The police union, for instance, might negotiate one way, the water and sewer, we have a number, and they have different approaches to that, and that's, how that works out. So I think that's another situation where you want to look at the bottom line and how they prefer to, for their bargaining unit, handle that. That's not something the town board just sets, that is negotiated in the contract with them. Those are all civil service team members. I just, because you let off with that, I appreciate Mr. Bell and Mr. Porter getting here this evening. I don't know if you heard the comments at the beginning about the recognition from the Chamber of Commerce, but appreciate all you do.
Any additional comments, questions?
Yeah, I just have one other question, and it's on page 3. So you have a land purchase here. So you got a general purchase of land, there's nothing here, and then you have an adjustment for $131,209. And then if you go to the change from 2020 or 20, there's no entry in that column, there's not even a 0. Every other column that has a change, that was either stayed the same from the previous year was a 0, or it had a dollar amount there. Did you just forget to put in there that there was a general land purchase of $131,000?
So the 0 probably shouldn't be there. That was a new line item that was created. So that's
So
why,
it should be 131?
that's why it was an adjusted number, not an adopted. The town did not have in its budget from last year an adopted value for a general land purchase. And there was no actual, to my knowledge, spent for the previous year. So that was a new budget line item, adjusted because it was during the year, which there wasn't a adopted line item for it. And that dollar amount is the amount that was expended for that purchase.
Right, but you should put the change over here in the column and show an increase of $131,000 that you purchased, because you had 0 in that budget line item. You used $131,000, but there was no entry there. I just wanted to know if that was an oversight.
So the way the spreadsheet sets up, there's changes, but there's 3 different budgets. You have the tentative, you have the preliminary, and then you have the adopted. So those changes, it could be set from adopted. So the key here is just to look at the preliminary to see what those values are. You're right, when this thing is adopted, those changes in the very end will be indicative of what that change is from either the adjusted of this current year or the adopted for next year. So the change from 2020, to put it another way, could be anything. It could be from the tentative to the adopted this year. It could be the tentative from the adjusted to this year. It could be from the, from in this case, the preliminary from the adopted, the preliminary from the adjusted, or the adopted for this year for 2021 in comparison with this year.
Well, I know with the contingency account, that's from the adjusted to the tentative, but there's nothing for the adjusted for the land. So if you go to the
Okay.
last line, your contingency account, there's
Right.
nothing there. I didn't know if that was an oversight or you just didn't put anything in that.
No,
Line item.
just an oversight. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
The lady brought up the fact about that 130,000. Okay, I have a copy of the check. Okay, do you know the story on this, where the property was assessed at $600?
Oh, I know the complete
Yeah.
story on that.
And I've already filed a complaint with New York State for misuse of our funds.
So we're talking about the budget here, we're not talking
That's,
about the
that's
funds
the
for-
budget itself. Now you're in the budget, you had to make up for that 130,000 somewhere. So this is the part that bothers me, that's why I'm bringing
It
it
was assessed for 600,
up. $600.
2 parcels.
2 parcels, and they paid $130,000.
131 for $600.
$600 assessed on our rolls.
Okay, any other questions on the budget that pertain to the budget? None? Anything else the board wants to Okay, then we will go ahead and close the public hearing for the budget. And we will open the public hearing for the 2021 town water and sewer rate increases. The increases for this year for sewer will remain at $140 a quarter, and for water will increase by $4 to $108 a quarter. These figures are based on the cost to operate the water and sewer plants, as well as the debt incurred and accrued for ongoing projects related to either water or the sewer. And the town has done what we can to maintain some common stability in the growth, but obviously there's been some recent projects that have been done, and they are coming due, and we are trying to gradually increase those to their
Joe, can I ask some question? The sewer and water budget money that's collected, does that stay in the sewer and water fund, or do you use that for anything?
No, there's 4 funds in town. There's the highway, there's the general, and there's the water and the sewer. So the fees that are collected for the water only stays in water. Fees that are collected for the sewer only stay in sewer. And the money that's levied from the previous hearing, that the town budget goes towards, respectively, towards the general and the highway, and to the Chilson volunteer fire for their district.
So it does, I mean, that's it. So if there's no project going on, there's no water line break or anything, and everything runs according to plan for a whole year, there should be an excess in the sewer funds and in the water funds.
If there is what? No, if there is
If
no.
if everything runs beautifully for a whole year,
Right.
there should be an excess of money in the sewer funds and in the water funds.
If everything
Yeah,
ran beautifully.
there's no water line
Sure,
breaks,
but that's
you don't
not-
have to fix any pumps, you don't have to do anything for anybody, and there's no suits in town, which happens very frequently. Then we have an excess. So does that excess stay? And then when the crap does hit the fan, the people ain't gonna get a raise that year because we have funds to pay for it? I mean, it's like, oh, like if you buy a piece of equipment, you know, you contribute to that piece of equipment all the time, keep it up. And then if something happens to it, you've got the funds to pay for it because you've thought ahead about that equipment. And I know you run a good business because I've even had you do work for me. And you run a very good business. So that's what the town does, right? In other words, if there's money left over, they could use that for repairs of a water line that breaks up. And it does not have to reflect back on the taxpayer immediately.
That is done, and it's called going into the general fund for those departments.
That's the fund that I like, the general fund, because the general fund means everybody's got their hand in the pot.
No, it's.
Yes, it does. The general fund means everybody's got their hand.
Dick,
No.
So, actually, if you can, do you have a packet? Did you grab one of these?
Yeah,
Okay, so if you actually take a look at this, and just to speak to your point, you take a look at this. So in 2016, between 2016 and 2017, we adopted the budget, a format of the budget that you see that's online, right? That has it broken down by line items. And during that process, I think I was quoted in the paper of talking about sharpening our pencils. And what the town has done is we've got a large budget, multi-million-dollar budget, right? And we have been going into each different account, each different line item, and trying to understand exactly how we spend, what we spend, so that those numbers are in here are reality-based. They're not just a percentage increase year after year, as other boards in other towns, or even in our town have done in the past. They are reality-based, so we look to see exactly how we're spending, what we're anticipating for next year, and then budgeting accordingly. That's why these numbers in here aren't just like $50,000, they might be $49,267, because it's based on some calculations of things that we know are coming up, plus other expenses that have been in. But specifically, when you look at this tax rate by year, and you look down at the bottom, and you look at the tax rate, how it changed, the very last line, the A plus DA. And for those who don't know, the A is the general fund, and the DA is the highway. And I just took those two together because they're the largest two components of the budget. And you look at that, and it was, if you just go across the bottom of the page, you see it's relatively increasing until 2016 at $7.77 per $1,000. And then it decreases by 40 cents. So what happened there was, when going through this reality-based process that we adopted, this process back in 2016 when we were doing the 2017 budget, we were able to find areas where things were being budgeted but they weren't being used. And we were actually able to cut from the budget roughly $200,000 of unused monies. Monies that were being collected and then going right into the fund balance. At the time, we also didn't know what our fund balances were. So there was the bookkeeping wasn't quite what it needed to be. So we're in a much better place now to know what we need to operate all of our different departments, whether that be all the ones that are under the general, such as our police officers, or our administrative, our finance, our courts, things like that, or the highway department, or the water department, or the sewer department, with some certainty know what it costs year after year for us, to operate those. And then with that, we also try to look more towards the long view as to how much money we're going to need to be able to take on various types of projects, new equipment, because we haven't always budgeted for new equipment thinking about when the replacement cycle is going to be. So this is something we've recently started doing. We've been encouraging other departments to do the same thing. Pieces of equipment in various departments can be quite expensive, right? So rather than asking for that lump sum one particular year, or going out and abandoning something, bond anticipatory note, we've been trying to put money into capital reserves and cycling through the process of being able to replace equipment before it gets to the point of costing a lot of money for major repairs. So year after year, we're constantly getting better and smarter and more equipped to make sure that we're putting the tax dollars of the people of Ticonderoga to the best use. We're doing it right now with our police department. We're cycling cars through every 2 years. We haven't been doing that in the past. We're doing that with our highway department. We're doing that with our water and sewer department. We're trying to be as methodical and as intelligent with the money that's coming in as we can. And so, again, if you take a look at that and you compare even where we're at now from where we were back then, the tax rate's actually decreased, right? It's actually decreased quite a bit. So there is a lot of thought that's going into it. It's not just collecting, and then not knowing what to do with it. It's collecting it, what we need, looking at what we have, and what additional monies we need, and then looking to see how we can put that to the best use. And right now we do have some healthy fund balances, and we are looking to do some capital projects with those fund balances once we try to evaluate which those projects are going to be. Right now we're having discussions with the Thai Fire Department about a joint building. We're also looking at improvements on our highway building. But everywhere you look, there's things that have not been looked. We talked about the gooseneck and the Eagle Lake and Shilson and the line. Things that just were maintenance, hasn't been put in. So we're trying to be methodical about how we lay this out, and mindful about how we project where we want to be in 5-10 years financially to be able to do the things that need to be done in this town. And to your other question about surplus, when we send water and sewer bills out, sometimes people pay them on time and they pay exactly what their rate is, and sometimes they don't. And sometimes they don't pay them and they get levied. And then sometimes those levies, they don't pay them on time either. So there's penalties and there's fees associated with that. So when people pay those fees end up coming back and they do contribute. So even if we had a healthy year, we had no water breaks, for instance, we could still receive additional funds because people were paying their water rents late and therefore paying additional money because of it. But I can tell you right now that there are numbers of breaks throughout the year. Very many unanticipated breaks, because the way in which the system was designed here, much like the system for Gooseneck, was not done with a holistic approach to it. It was kind of done as a piecemeal. And so you can talk to our water and sewer superintendent about the delicate and the fragility of our system, and how conscientious you have to be when you're going to take care of a pipe break to make sure that you don't cause something else to fluctuate someplace else because of pressure differences. So there's a lot more that meets the eye in this particular budget. I know people want to scrutinize, the numbers here and the salaries that are being made, but I can assure you that the work that goes behind the scenes for those who have been in town government and those who are coming to the meetings to understand what's going on is more than just meets the eye from showing up to one meeting to.
Okay, but you just brought up a point then that I'll ask you about, with the fragility of the lines. When this new water system was put in for downtown, the engineers put in the best system possible, right?
That's a water supply though, just
Right.
yeah.
That wouldn't happen anymore. That wouldn't happen anymore. The only part that they didn't do was our part, up at the top of the hill. That they didn't do anything about. But they did take care of downtown. They took care of the downtown area as far as how to lay the lines, how to get the lines in the best place to put them, from where your water source is, to the reservoirs, and then to the individual homes. That was all laid out by the engineering department. So we have then, or shouldn't have, if this project is done, is already done downtown, we shouldn't have any more breaks down here, major breaks down
So
here.
we're getting-
Now, I know some of the system is still on. I understand that part too.
But we're getting off topic here, but
Yeah.
with the $14 million project that went in, it included the well control building. It included a portion of the line that went from the well control building out to the four corner intersection, McDonald's, Walgreens, right? And up through to the Chilson tank. That's the only mains that were affected. Part of that main was actually done a few years ago because it qualified for some Office of Community Renewal grant money.
Yeah.
So we did not replace any of the mains in town. The only main we're replacing right now, actually 3 mains, is on the Portage. So the infrastructure in town, nothing has changed with that. The only thing that's changed is the location of where the water's coming from. Now it's coming from groundwater out on Street Road. And the main pipeline providing that to the infrastructure for which to provide that water to. That's it. So there are tens of millions of dollars in infrastructure needs that are needed to be met. But obviously, it's just more than anything that we could bite off in one chunk. So we go out and we look for all the possible opportunities we have for grant funding, first and foremost, and then qualified loans that hopefully are zero interest, which is what we got on both of our current water and sewer projects.
To answer your question, the pipe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the pipeline going into the Portage now has an 80-year lifespan. So to answer your question, you have to anticipate when that is done. But as they've done that project, they found, I'll just call it all kinds of surprises. They've got the maps and where things are supposed to be, and then they're digging down like in front of the post office and other things. And where's this going? And we've had a number of those as they've done that, but those are 80-year fixes, so it's not, and that's the thing, that's what we're looking at, right? 5 years out, 10 years out, 15 years out, those are the discussions, right? When the Eagle Lake Chilton thing, it'll be outlive all of us. We'll see this Portage project and some of the next ones that are done, possibly including stormwater and where the land purchase is. Because once you own that land, you can actually get grant money. You can't do that if you don't own it. But it's 80-year fixes, it's 100-year fixes. Those are the discussions being made. So we don't have the leaks, or my great-grandchildren don't have the leaks, is what I'm thinking about.
Okay, but actually the water line actually from Gooseneck Reservoir is how old would you say?
Oh, it's got some years, and it's got some...
Say what you think it is, please.
So my
is it over
understanding
100?
is, it is at this point, is my
And it's
understanding.
still got water flowing through.
Well, it's,
What, the reservoir?
The pipe from the actual gooseneck, you see, and this was done by hand
But
before, yeah, I know,
Okay.
but I just raised the point too about water flow. The water's still actually flowing through that pipe, even with all the rocks banging on it, even with all the bends in it. There's still water flowing through that pipe, and there's more than enough water flowing through that pipe to accommodate 125 users.
we can end this on this, but I will tell you, because I didn't have.
Well, listen, I've been here, I've been going to meetings probably more than you are in age.
You probably, I just want to say one thing, that was one of my first questions when I got on the board and trying to better understand the Eagle Lake project, and I don't want to go down this because this is a budget hearing, was why can't we reuse that pipe? Like, I asked that question, public session, water sewer, like, I wanted to better understand because I thought, and then after taking too much time in more than one meeting and then talking to the engineer after, I just understood some of the challenges of, there still are some possibilities there, and I know they're working on it, and we'll get you those answers, but I better understood why there's challenges of reversing the flow. That can be a safety issue because of the buildup, because it was a pipe that was this big, it's only this big inside, because of some other things where the pipe's located. So I'll just end on that. There's a lot of thought going into it, and people that are better suited than I am to be studying that we have looking at it. But I personally asked those questions because I wanted to know. Well, because I just thought, well, why can't we just run the water back up to, where the head is by Condon's house? Why can't we just run it up to there? And so we've asked those questions, and so we have that water sewer meeting come up. We moved it because of the holiday, and we will have those answers questioned.
You're gonna have it the next water and sewer meeting?
If I can, I won't be answering the question, but I will reach out to see if we can get it. So if I'm not driving the horses, I don't.
Well, then give Roy Richardson.
I will.
He's a damn engineer, we pay him good money, and he should come to the damn meetings.
We committed
To answer
to
the
do it,
questions.
so we
He
will.
doesn't have to come in front of a crowd.
I will reach out to him and I will get back to you on whether I spoke to him.
Okay, my number is 6133, 585-6133.
I know where you are. Use the
You
fish.
just call me, and I'll be at the next water and sewer meeting, and Mr. Richardson is going to make a personal appearance, and Jesus hopefully parts the waters for us.
Hopefully then we'd have it all fixed.
Can you go over the number again, what the increase, you said it was gonna go up to $108?
Right, 108 and 100, and the sewer will stay at 140, will stay constant.
I don't have sewer, but I'm interested in the water, you said it's
So,
gonna go
So the water in the district goes up to 108, but you're a contract user on Chilson. Those remain at $96.
so there's no increase?
There's no increase in Chilson.
Just for,
No. That's kind of a separate entity, if you will, because they were recently taken off of the town's water, and we're still trying to figure out exactly how that's going to evolve going forward, so we're just holding constant at 96.
okay. Now, just to go back to what Dick kind of asked, whether the extra money that's collected for sewer and water, that goes into a general fund for repairs projects for sewer and water?
We put money aside for reserve, for equipment and infrastructure, yes.
Okay. Could anybody tell me, because I pulled your last 6 years' financials from the controller's office, and I'm just curious why we're using sewer and water money to pay Social Security, employment benefits, retirement for a teacher. Doesn't that come out of school taxes?
So,
It's right from the controllers.
It's from the
yeah, no,
controller's office.
I don't doubt it, but
And it's been going on, and there's 40, 50, 47,000
the school
and there's a
teacher's part of the
whole
employee
host
retirement
of
system.
employees that you're
Yeah,
using
so,
sewer and water money for.
As I was telling Mr. Polky earlier, is that monies from all sorts of different public entities go into the New York State Retirement Fund and then
Correct.
get dispersed accordingly. So whether you're in the sewer department, whether you're in a highway department, whether you're in a water department, whether you're in the school district, they all get collected, provided to the comptroller. The comptroller sets the rates for what those retirement costs have to come from the various public organizations, municipalities, but they all go into one fund, and so you're probably right, you're gonna see sewer, water, all those ones collecting money, and then being distributed to the same New York State pot that then gets distributed to all those retirees who are pulling from that.
Well, why wouldn't
No. My question was, you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, the extra money you put aside from the water and the sewer to pay for infrastructure, capital improvements, equipment, but then you said it goes into the general fund and you're using it expenses? Am I wrong?
No, so goes into whatever fund it's coming from, that's the fund it stays in. So if it's money that's being collected for water, it stays in the waters fund. If it's money that's being collected for sewer, it stays in the sewers fund. If it's general, stays in the general fund, and highway stays in the highway fund.
So if you're collecting money from sewer and water, how is a teacher related to the sewer and water?
So we collect monies, and then we have to pay the state various portions, right?
I
Just like,
understand the process.
well, if you don't understand the process, I don't know why you're asking the question, because
Because
every-
I'm trying to
every-
get you to answer my
but
question.
I'm explaining to you that we have personnel that work in sewer, right? And they're on the employee retirement system,
Correct.
right? So from the sewer fund, of which the water rents go to pay salaries and benefits and everything else, that money, then a check gets cut to go to the Office of the State Controller to make payment for those people that are in the plan to have for retirement when they do retire.
Right,
that's
but
why
what
you're
you
saying
said-
is-
But what you said was, when Dick asked the question, you said excess money is used for equipment, infrastructure, anything else that has to do with that specific water or sewer. And then it goes in the general fund, and this gentleman over here, I'm sorry, I don't know your name,
Tom Cunningham.
Tom Cunningham said,
It
oh
goes,
yeah, it's in a reserve fund.
it's in a fund for
Within-
that department, within that department. I was not allowed to finish my comment. So if there's excess money that's generated at the end of a year for a department, water department, sewer department, or the general department, it stays within that department. It doesn't get distributed out to pay for other departments. It's within that department. They have to live within their budget.
But it's right here, I have it.
Hold on, one at a time.
I guess I'm confused, because I have it, it's not staying in the sewer and water department. This is from the controller's office.
I know, because if you listen to what Joe had said, what he's saying is that the town of Ticonderoga pays into the New York State Retirement Fund, right? They then distribute that money, and they can take that pot of money and distribute it to a teacher. They can distribute it to whoever within the state is associated with that New York State Retirement Fund. We don't have control about it does get spent into our sewer folks, but we don't directly send it directly to pay for a teacher. It goes through the state. What they do with it, once it gets into the controller's office, as far as the retirement fund is concerned,
So
goes to
in a
them.
roundabout way, you are using sewer and water, because you make that payment to the controller's office, and you're taking that money from the sewer and water account.
But we,
But you moved it into your general fund.
no,
No,
Yeah.
no.
It's getting sent from that fund to the state controller.
Right, so you're using sewer and water rather than the money from your general fund. So you're not using the excess water and sewer.
I'm lost by your question, so
Yeah.
let's just take, so just
Well,
stop.
here, let me ask my question again.
Okay.
My question is, what are you using the sewer and water excess money for?
I don't know, what do you mean by excess money? We do a ballot.
So you come out, you don't have any breaks, I'm touching on what Dick said.
Yeah,
You
but
don't
that's
have
not-
any breaks,
okay,
you
but that's
don't
not-
have any repairs.
That's not reality, though. That's not reality.
fund balance, fund
Yeah,
balance.
right, so we have a fund balance that we use to cover, any additional, issues that arise throughout, any unanticipated issues that arise throughout the year. So some years, let me give you a better example, because it's really hard with water and sewer. Let's take highway. Let's say there's no snow at all this year. We bought a lump sum of salt, right? So that salt's gonna sit there all year long. Next year, we're not gonna need to buy salt. So if we don't, but if we anticipate that this might have been a fluky year, and next year we're gonna have a whopper of a snowstorm, we don't buy that salt. But now we put it in our budget to go ahead and buy that salt next year, right? So you can see how you still have all the salt we didn't use from this past year, and yet we put money aside for salt next year, but next year, we don't need to buy that much salt, right? Because we didn't use the salt from this year,
I understand what you're saying,
okay? So we have
but
a,
you're not answering my question.
I don't know if I
You
understand.
have 3,200 parcels of assessed property, and I can't give you the exact number of your vacant properties that don't have water or have wells, but you're charging them X amount a quarter for water,
Right.
times 4. You collect all that money. Now, you have that money, and you're gonna say, this is my budget, this is my revenues that I'm collecting, and you're gonna use all that money to pay for your expenses. You're gonna pay for the water department salaries, you're gonna pay for equipment, you're gonna pay for repairs. What happens at the end of the year? What do you do with that money if you have excess funds. You didn't spend all those funds, you didn't have to borrow any money. Do you put that in a reserve fund, or do you put it in your general fund?
So you're using the word generally. We should be mindful, it just goes into basically becomes fund balance, additional monies that are set aside. So maybe the next year, we don't need that.
Within that department.
Within that fund.
Within.
So there's four funds, Deanna, right? There's the general fund.
Correct.
Right? There's the highway fund, there's the sewer fund, and there's the water fund. So monies that may not match what the anticipated expenses are for the year. So if we collect the revenue, we don't spend as much, right? That money rolls over into the fund balance of that particular fund. In this case, water, or in this case,
Correct.
sewer, or in this case, general. But in no way does money from a sewer go into general. In no way does money from water go into highway. They stay in their separate funds.
So how are these being paid? I mean, I can give you
I don't even know what
my
that,
copy.
yes.
This is your financials for the last 6 years,
Okay.
the controller's office.
But it's not it's kind of the same concept of,
I can give you this packet if you like, or show you where to get it, but it shows everything. All your accounts, your SW, your SS. SS is your special district sewer, SW is your special district water. I'm not making this stuff up, I'm asking questions and I can't give an answer.
But I don't think you're comprehending the answer that's being given. So-
Well, I know what the answer is, because I've already looked into it.
Okay.
But
And
I mean,
you've got-
I want you to answer the question,
I've
and you're
answered
not.
it. Well, we've all answered it several times, so I'm not quite sure, and we'll have to talk afterwards.
we're not,
Okay.
we're not paying, as a town, we are not paying a teacher's retirement. I'm not sure how the report shows the
The
retirement
report is
system.
in the controller's office, it's right there.
I understand, but I don't know how they're breaking down the report, and Joe's going to get a copy, and we'll look at it to see how they are reporting out, you know, the retirement dollars that are collected within our community and how they're allocated. It's just like, if Keith and I have an account at the credit union, and we both go deposit our checks, and I go withdraw $50, it might not be my $50 that I deposited, it might be his $50. And the same thing in the retirement system, we have to put so much money in there for our employees. The school has to put in so much for their state employees. And then the state retirement system pays out to their people, but it could be, the money that teacher got could happen to be that $20 bill that the town happened to put in, but it's getting paid out from that fund. And we only pay in from the sewer, our sewer department employees, the money has to go to the retirement system for those employees. And then the water department, the same thing. Within the highway, the same thing. If they are part of the retirement system, that's a whole different thing.
It's the same thing with the teachers, right? It all goes into one general, one fund.
Correct.
Yeah. Whether water, sewer, teacher, no matter the whole state.
So I don't know how the report is showing that.
Just to solve the problem.
So, Michelle, would you retirement?
401K.
That's not a report, I'm not sure how the report's generated.
And
Yes, let's stay on track.
any other questions on the budget? The water sewer budget?
Stay on track, the answer to that. Any questions about why they're doing that?
No other questions? Okay.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
All right, so we will go ahead and, no more questions, we'll go ahead and close the water and sewer hearing. So next up is committee reports. The airport did not meet yet this month, we meet next week, so we had reported at the last board meeting, so we'll move on to public safety.
Okay, we met on October 27th. Excuse me, Fred, that was- excuse me. With myself, Bill Ball, Anna Peters, Dave Burrows, Adam Halter, Bob Kelly, and Jim Gannon. Yes, from Mark Wright and Joyce Cooper. We opened the floor to the public, there was no public comments at that time. The police, Chief Halter goes over the monthly police report, which I'll read in a minute. The Coast Department, Bill Ball goes over his code monthly report also. Bill and Dave discuss ongoing water issues on Racetrack Road. Bill states he will be talking to the Water and Sewer Department today regarding the ongoing issue at the Newberry building. Bill also goes over the same goes over the issue with the burned out structures around town. He states that he has enough points that he can bring them in under the nuisance law. Chief Halbert made a suggestion, and the committee agreed to bring the issue to the burned structure on John Street to the next town board meeting. Chief Halbert brings up a concern regarding people hunting on the walking trail on Lake George Avenue. He suggests we come up with a local law and post it so we can bring this to an end. The meeting was adjourned at 8:46. The next meeting is November 24th at 8 a.m. And I need a resolution to change the next Public Safety Committee meeting to December 1st at 8 o'clock.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Excuse me, the chief's report, they had approximately calls to service 307 calls last month. Incident reports 38, arrests 24, uniform traffic tickets 57, DWI arrests none, accident investigated 5. The speed trailer is currently located on Mount Hope Avenue. Training all officers participated in and successfully completed the town's sexual harassment training. Patrol Unit 7B377 is brought to Egglefield Ford in Elizabethtown. We are expecting to have the vehicle back within 2 weeks. And the building, the codes department, building permits issued were 13, safety inspections 1. They had 1 fail. Ordered a remedy, they had 9. Remedied 3. Cleanup, contractor lawns was 3. Condemned, none. Do not occupy 1. That's it.
Highway, transfer station?
The Highway and Transportation meeting was held on October 27th, starting at 9:15. President was myself, Tom Cunningham, Dave Woods, Sal Barneo, Mitch Cole, and John Deming. Others present was Joyce Cooper, Greg Swart, Jocelyn Merced, Mark Wright, and Matt Fuller. There was no public discussion. Sal reported that the following tasks, some of the following tasks were completed over the last month. There were 4 water breaks near the Walmart intersection that they worked on in conjunction with the water committee, water department. They did take delivery of the new loader that was purchased. They are presently working on winter preparation, so they installed some winter studded tires on the equipment, installed the plows, and installed small sanders on the pickup trucks. They repaired rush bandit wood chipper that they repaired as opposed to buying a new one. That was the one that was damaged in the Crown Point fire that they had on loan to Crown Point. They built a ramp for the Grizzly loading station, and they did tank prep for the DEC inspections. The highway has several small items to be surplus, which will come up in a resolution, larger resolution later on. There's a couple of welding machines, an air greaser, a Northern Indiana bandsaw. Some of the other items discussed was the continued discussion on the moving the handicap parking lot on east side of Glens Falls National Bank. They're going to try to get that removed and moved to the front of the bank as opposed to having it on an incline. They may have gotten to it with the present good weather we've had, but if not, it'll happen in the spring. We decided to postpone getting quotes for the new street sweeper until next year, because we don't need a new one at this point, and quotes may be old by then. We decided not to take on the Gravel Hill Road. There was a request by some of the homeowners on Gravel Hill for the town to take over that road. We decided it was not in the town's best interest to do so. We're still getting quotes for sidewalks to be repairing so that we can come up with a section of sidewalk to be repaired this year. The priority for this year is to try to get approximately 300 feet done along Lake George Avenue. The new transfer station is in place. waiting for the electrical service and phone to be hooked up. At that time, it should be done by now. And we need to complete the fencing around the building now that it's been installed. And the resolutions come up are to resolute surplus the following items. Are these included in the other surplus items, I think, in the main resolutions coming up? We have a resolution coming up.
You need to do those separately.
Need to do these separately? Okay.
I put just what you give me for highway,
Yeah.
it's just like I did for water.
Okay.
sewer,
So resolution surplus the following items is 2 welding machines, an air greaser, and a Northern Indiana bandsaw, number BS 128HDR.
You moving them?
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Alright,
Aye.
So carried.
Need a resolution to publish the annual snow plow and parking restriction notice for the 2021 winter season from November 1, 2020 to April 1st, 2021.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Alright,
So carried.
And same as the public safety resolution to change the date of the highway committee meeting to December 1st at 9:15 a.m.
I'll move it.
second.
All in favor?
Alright.
And the meeting was adjourned at 10:35.
Okay, the Public Works meeting met on October 27th. And Tom, I know I wasn't present, so if I missed anything, just chime in. There was some discussion regarding Veterans Road. Veterans Road is they're replacing a culvert next year. And they're looking to utilize some additional funding that we have on the water project to cover the water line across that cover, just to put best use to those two items being done simultaneously. Work is being done on rural development, part of the USDA grant, to look for the next project phase for the water meters that's underway. And that water meter project is being mandated by DEC in the next, this time, 3 or 4 years from now. Work is still happening with regard to water district consolidation. This is currently being handled through our engineers with the GIS mapping, as well as our attorney with regards to legal aspects of consolidation approach. So at some time soon, they'll be getting us a report for us to be able to conduct the proper public hearings or whatever is required regarding consolidation of our current water districts. Lead service line replacement. Plan is in place to utilize the $500,000 that was awarded to the town to look on certain roads within Ticonderoga for lead abuse checks and replace those pieces. More details to follow from that. There was notification put out today regarding the former Newberry building, current Hackerboat building, and the town to shut down the water on, I believe, on a Monday morning to shut the water off to the Hackerboat building due to some perceived leaks. And Lake George Association is still handling the Malden Road and District Extension progress regarding water and sewer district extensions off of Malden. That they've got some grant money and they're exploring those, and that's something that's been explored in the past as well. So, as for sewer, that's great. The wastewater treatment plant project is complete. The report has been submitted for the ventilation portion of the work still to be done, and there's really no other update other than that. As far as scheduling, looks like we'll find out one of the next meetings. The portage work is continuing. I think they're nearing completion as we get closer to the winter season. They've been already paving a number of sections along the portage. And this year they just replaced the sewer laterals. Next year they'll continue with the water and the stormwater sections, and then be reconstructing the entire roadway. The Lake Champlain Basin program, we've done some engineering for a similar stormwater project, similar to the portage, which is going to be on Lake George in terms of separating water from stormwater, and then removing some of the floatables and the debris. So we've utilized that grant fund to purchase some equipment and do some additional engineering for that project for the future. And AES is still doing field work on the evaluations of the various pump stations. We've had some issues with those, so they're, for the sewer department, they are evaluating those to give us an understanding of what their prognosis is for the future. And that's all that good. As far as resolutions, we also have a resolution to surplus the following items. I need to list them all out. Okay. So I'll move that resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. The next resolution is similar to resolutions we passed and we have moved in the past regarding reflections of water sewer rates because of new information that's discovered at different properties. So this one is a resolution to reflect a 1 EDU water sewage charge for the residential property located at 6 St. Clair. I'll move that one.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. We need a resolution to accept amendment number 1 of the AES contract for that additional engineering services. And this includes, as part of the Lake Champlain Basin Program, stormwater separation. And again, this is a full grant amount that was provided. In fact, we'll have some monies that won't get spent because we just ran out of things to expend from it. But they're doing some additional engineering services to put us that much further ahead when the time comes for us to be able to do the installation. Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. And the last is a resolution to change the date of the Public Works Committee meeting from to December 1st at 10:30.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Buildings, grounds, parks and rec.
Do you have anything to say?
No, just the armory, it's all set to put the senior bus in. And we've done some repairs at the library, nothing.
Does the county still need the other half of that for
Yeah.
their weights and everything?
Thank you. Is the door done now?
No,
No.
the electric's done.
Okay.
The operator will come in next week.
Okay, I'll move on to Parks and Rec. Our meeting was held on the 20th of October. The meeting was attended by committee members Alicia Bartlett, Jerry Cooper, Nancy Kelly, Tanya Thompson, and myself. In attendance also was our head groundskeeper, Grant Spalding, and Mark Wright. The first item of discussion was an additional groundskeeper. That position is in the budget. Some concerns were expressed concerning the creation of a new full-time position of senior groundskeeper because of the additional budget expense and the amount of full-time work available. However, a list of major projects and routine jobs is being compiled now. Thank you. Skylar Street, there was a complaint about a weeded area next to the street. The report was made by one of the postmen. This was his particular route. It needs to be inspected to see if there was something that we should be doing, if we should be doing something. The Chute Trail, Grant Spalding, who is our head groundskeeper, reported that there has been a complaint of a hunter with archery equipment being seen on the upper Chute Trail. That's the portion that runs along Lake George Avenue. After much discussion, the committee recommended that any hunting on town property should be prohibited. We recommend it. And this problem should be brought to the attention of the full town board. Third field erosion. Some of you may know there was a lot of erosion on the hill behind the fields. Grant has finished repair of the eroded area on the north side of the hill behind the third field. He brought in field and covered the receded area with mats. It was mentioned that Essex County Soil and Water might be able to reimburse the town for the cost of the soil and the seed, and this needs to be pursued. Chipper, somebody's already mentioned the chipper, but I'll mention it too. Grant reported that Sal was able to make repairs to the town's chipper that was damaged by fire while it was on loan to the town of Crown Point. It was originally thought to be destroyed. However, he was able to repair it. With the insurance money received for this damaged piece of equipment, Sal was able to buy a used smaller chipper, which will be housed with the groundskeepers for their use. This will enable Grant and his crew to continue the excellent work they have done keeping the Lachute Trail view of the river open and controlling the spread of invasive trees and bushes. Electrical service in Bicentennial Park, there was a problem there. There's a control board that's right down here actually, and it's shifted and it's not upright, and it needs to be repaired, and actually it's being repaired right now. Grant has gone down and he's stabilizing it. If he had not done that, there could be damage to the park conduit, which might impact all of the electrical service in the park. Metal poles, the patriotic poles, as some of you may know them. There was a discussion on the condition of the 5 poles that were painted black by Jim Cawley several years ago. The committee feels that an engineering study that was recommended a few years ago should be pursued, especially because one of the poles holds the traffic light at the intersection of Champlain Avenue and Montcalm Street. And if you've looked at it, it's got a lot of stuff on it. There was also concern regarding the projected cost of the estimate that was received earlier from a Queensbury firm. The committee feels there should be a new request for proposals. And is that the proper thing, Tanya, to put out a request for proposals?
What do you guys want to do?
Okay. I'll talk with Joe about that too. Tin Pan Alley. I love the name of this street. The town owns a small piece of lakefront property at the west end of Tin Pan Alley. It is not being maintained. A resident requested that it be cleaned to allow lake access for kayakers and canoeists. It is an eyesore surrounded by well-maintained private properties. It is not clear why the town owns this piece of land, but it has not been designated for recreational purposes. The road is very narrow, there is no place to turn around, and the only parking would be on private property. Research should be done to determine the purpose of this property. Perhaps the property should be put up for sale and placed on the tax rolls, and that's the thought of the committee. We have a report from Alicia Bartlett, who is the new director of Pride, and she reported that Pride is continuing its focus on the Lachute corridor. Completing the connection of the upper Lachute Trail to the Trestle Bridge area is a priority for her. Handicap accessibility, however, is a major problem. She is working with the Lake Champlain Basin organization to find funding to expand or repair the existing exercise equipment and repair trail signage that has been damaged. Unfortunately, there are no healthy community grants available at this present time for additional improvements to our trail. Alicia also noted that the connection between the upper and lower Lachute trails, and for those of you who probably don't know it as well as I do, I call the lower Lachute trail everything from the Pocket Park on Montcalm Street all the way over to the park and the recreational fields. I call the upper Lachute trail the section that starts on Lake George Avenue and goes up towards the Upper Falls. So I'm calling them 2 different sections. And she noted that the connection between the upper and lower Lachute trails needs to be improved. It is not clear to visitors how to get from the end of the lower trail at the Pocket Park on Montcalm Street to the beginning of the upper trail at the corner of Lake George Avenue and Father Joe's. In other words, the trail disappears at that point. At the Pocket Park, you don't know where to go next. She suggested the bark sidewalk, on the west side of Lake George Avenue in front of the Lachute Square and pad factory buildings would enable people to get safely to the trailhead without having to cross the street twice to get there, which is what they would have to do the way it's marked now. This suggestion has merit and should be considered. More study of this proposed pedestrian trail access should be undertaken. And let me explain what's happening. You get to the Pocket Park, you walk the whole trail around here, and you walk up to Montcalm Street at the Pocket Park. Then you don't know where to go. There's nothing there that tells you how to get up Lake George Avenue and get on that section of trail, which is equally beautiful too. And in fact, I was down there one time this summer, and there was this couple wandering around, And looking at the map that was there and looking very puzzled, I saw them walk up the street, I saw them walk down the street, and I finally said, can I help you? And they said, we're trying to find the Upper Lachute Trail. And so obviously there's a problem, and I think we need to take a look at how to get people there safely from Lock Pond Street up to Lake George Avenue, so that they don't have to cross the street twice. In past times, they put arrows on the sidewalk, but that directed them to in front of from the pocket park to the Chinese restaurant. They crossed the street to the laundromat, then they went up, they had to cross another street, and then they went up the, next to the discarded property, and then they had to cross the street to get into the trail. Have I lost you? Have you lost yet? So in other words, we've got these people crossing the street too many times, and it's not a safe thing. The only problem is on the west side of Lake George, there's not a sidewalk in front of the Lachute Square, and there's not a sidewalk in front of the Pad Factory. However, there is to be no, that's not a parking area anyways, and it could be safely marked as a pedestrian access for the upper trail. So that's something you'll hear about. And that's the end of my report, but I have an additional resolution, Joe, that's not on the schedule or on the agenda.
Do you have it?
Yeah. We have, this is the beautification crew needs a resolution to surplus one red Ford.
Great.
Am I going too fast?
No, no, go
Okay.
ahead.
One red Ford F-150 pickup truck. It does not run.
So what year was it, did you say?
I'll find out.
Okay.
It's been around for a while. I think it was the sewer and water, and then it was.
No, that was the original truck that they bought.
Oh,
way back
okay,
when
so
we
it's
first got
quite old,
together.
so
You
it
want
must be about 15 years old now.
to move that one?
And bikes, and there's some bikes.
Yeah,
that are in surplus.
I thought there's a lot of bikes that are being
Bicycles.
left. Nobody claims them. I think the police department has quite a few up there too. So that's my resolution to surplus bicycles and F-150.
Those bicycles, there are a lot of them down there, Mark?
I don't believe there's as many as there used to
See,
be.
last year, we gave them to the church, remember?
Right.
And they fixed them up and gave them to, I don't know if that's something we can do or not.
We'll see after we surplus them. So Mark brought it and Joyce seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. You're good? Okay. Human Services?
So the youth commission had an informal discussion. We did not have enough people for a quorum. So we talked, one of the things we talked about was just, with the COVID situation, we're still restricted in what we can provide for the youth activities. Optimistic possibly, we're still planning going forward with the ski bus if we can under restrictions, see how that goes. We may need a little snow first. And possibly basketball. A lot of that depends on being able to even use the facility. We have had a lot of talk at school and in the community about our youth and just concerns because they don't have as much activity and with things going on. It doesn't go unrecognized that the teen center and the collaboration with Silver Bay was valuable to the youth and the community and what that provided for a number of years. So that's missed, that's not operating right now. I did have another meeting with Steve Tam and some of his team to just talk about things going forward and what the opportunities might be for that and some things that we can do. So we're looking at how we can evolve that as soon as we can safely get people together without restrictions around that. So and we did. One of our challenges has been participation, so we did get another person wants to join the youth commission, and so I think we'll be on a good track there. And so I do have a resolution to appoint Reverend Richard Ressler to the youth commission, and he was very engaged, and we had a good conversation. Mr. Wright was there as well, and look at being able to have a quorum, but the big part of the challenge for us is just some activities, and we're looking at how we can do that safely as things evolve, either using the facilities back in here or something else. So, we did briefly talk about the concept of a recreation director, just under budget circumstances and the fact that program required this probably isn't the best time to entertain that full-time position. So, we go back, I need a motion on that resolution.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
So carried. Thanks, Mark.
Seniors.
There's really nothing to report. The seniors have yet to become, start meeting again at the Armory for obvious reasons, so they're meeting, I think, by individual phone calls, but they have yet to have a full committee meeting, and since February, I think, at this point.
I've had some conversations. They were looking to utilize the Armory gym for pickleball. Currently, that's being provided. That question has been posed to New York State Department of Health as to what would have to be done in order for them to be able to participate. But given the fact that the Army doesn't have a ventilation system, that's probably a deal breaker for them to be able to play pickleball during the winter months like they have in the past.
Anything inside is going to present winter sports, and as Steve has just said, anything that's high contact is out of play right now. So, just the very limited contact is. So.
Municipal facility evaluation.
So our first, I'll call it informal because we're still working on rounding out, but I plan on our first official meeting on December 1st. We did have a couple representatives from AES. We formed a committee, this municipal facility evaluation committee. A couple representatives from our police department are here. Mr. Wright, representing the fire department, was at our committee meeting, but we know we have some structures that we have an opportunity to, they're very old and in rough shape. There's been some discussion in the past about the fire department, which is currently housed in an old, it was intended for a supermarket with grocery carts and not multiple ton fire vehicles. And we have a police department that's in rough shape. So we took the step back and just to take a holistic view of our facilities. But there's been a number of studies done over the years, and most of that information is still accurate as far as the demographics, just some of the dates have changed. So to pull that information together and take a look at it to see what would be some good long-term solutions that would be favorable to the town and the taxpayer, and really get some community involvement. So I encourage you to look at our website. We'd love to have the participation. We're still looking around at that committee to look at some of these things about just, from the community building that we are, considering partnering with some service, with the county. There's a number of vacant buildings in the community. Are those some options to use for some things if they make sense? Go ahead.
Has anybody looked into utilizing that Lowe's building?
Well, when I first talked about this committee, that was one of the first phone calls I received. Somebody contacted. It's just, it doesn't make sense. There's a pretty big, someone has a pretty big lease payment on that. So would it make sense? And if you look at it straight up, you can put a lot of stuff in there, right? But is it made for the same challenge that you have with the current firehouse, right? Would it be structurally sound? The police department has some code requirements. The Hudson Headwaters building is vacant, right? There's been some discussion about that. So that's what this committee is going to look at, what makes sense from an economic standpoint, from a true needs standpoint. We have a long-term thought-out plan. A number of studies have been done by past administrations. We're dusting those off, and that's really where we're going to kick it off. When we're going to change that date to the 1st. Mr. Cunningham and I are the board representatives. We've got some engineer support, county engineering. Here we're going to use some low-cost resources to help support the team and really partner, especially with the fire department and the police department, on looking at some things. Mr. Wright is leads the fire commission. He's looking at some other communities have done. And so I think a lot of good work there to see what we can do, involving Chilton as well in that discussion as, their fire department. So some good work there and some good things on the horizon. So had a resolution to change the date of the Municipal Facility Evaluation Committee to December 1st at 1:00 p.m.
I'll move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, health insurance, we had a meeting on October 16th. Our health insurance broker just shared with us some of the upcoming items associated with health insurance for our employees. The core plan that we offer, and we back up here a second, a few years ago, they had changed our rating from experience rating, where the rates apply to how well the number of claims that the entity brings in, to a community-based rating, so you're kind of in a pool with other smaller entities, of which anyone who has less than 100 full-time employees. So because we're in a community-rated plan, we're able to offer more than one plan and not be penalized by offering those. So our core plan, our high deductible plan, has gone down by 0.3%. They've also had some changes in their cost structure in terms of the limits for out-of-pocket maximums and deductibles. And the other plans vary depending on utilization in the last year. But all in all, they're much lower than what they typically are, and I think that has to do with because COVID had a pretty significant impact on the number of claims that were able to be filed due to the limitations with being able to see health providers. And those rates are set. They're initiated by Excellus, who was our provider, and then set by New York State. We talked about a number of other legislative updates, but probably the other thing that's kind of key for us just to be mindful of is that Excellus is a not-for-profit, and typically they base their premiums on claims, and so they kind of shoot for about 80%. So it's unclear as to whether they'll let that mark this year. If they don't, then there's an anticipation that there might be some rebates coming back next year regarding health insurance. So those are kind of the big takeaways from that particular meeting. There's no resolutions for health insurance, so contract negotiations, we did not have any this month. And the last item is IT, cable TV. We are waiting scheduling for our server upgrades. Information is being sent currently for our computers. We were able to get the full roster of computers and town emails to our IT provider for them to go ahead and give us a cost estimate or cost quote moving forward, so we can start getting that infrastructure ready for implementation later this year, early in 2021. And as far as cable TV goes, there was a notice that came out November 7th that Spectrum TV Silver and Spectrum TV Gold, their pricing will be increased by $5. So that's all I have for that liaison committee. Now to regular resolutions. Resolution to accept and correct the minutes of a regular town board meeting October 8th, and then special town board meetings of October 9th, 21st, 23rd, 29th, and November 10th.
On the list.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So carried. I have a resolution to award fuel bids. And so you want to share, or me to share, Tanya? Every year we go out to bids for fuel this time of the year. We have comparisons between those who submit their bids as well as state contracting, or state contracts. This year, state contract expires December. Some of those rates that we had from some of those providers that submitted bids were lower, but there was some question marks as to what the state contracts will be for next year. I don't know what those values will be. So of the ones who did bid, Avery is the one we had last year. They had half of the options that they had were better than the contract, the state contracts, and the other half were a little less than,
Very
a little
comparable.
comparable.
Comparable. We had some issues with state contract this past year. Probably some of you are aware of that we ran out of gas a couple of different times, so we've had to go to different areas to get gas. So that's definitely one negative about holding that.
Last week.
Yeah, I know. And last winter. So Avery's been very good to us. They are Johnny on the spot, and they did everything for us, so.
So we'll move for the resolution to award the fuel bids to Avery. Yeah.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution to go out to bid for the town surplus. This is all the items that were listed earlier, from highway, water, sewer, and from buildings and grounds.
Move it.
Plus there were two that were surplus earlier than that from highway for 2 pickup trucks, and there are 2 vehicles at the police department that are going to be.
Was somebody going to the auction site or just?
Those were
going-
other, police, yeah, these 2 trucks were not going to the auction, though,
Okay.
from my understanding. I'm sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution to acknowledge the retirement of Keith Kovac as town justice, and this is effective January 1st, 2021.
I'll move it.
Second.
And just a note, so, well, he's partway through his term. His term would expire at the end of 22. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. We wish him well in his retirement. Next resolution is to acknowledge the retirement of Cindy Childs as court clerk, and this one is also effective in January. It's January 4th of next year.
I'll move it.
Second.
I think we should send Cindy and Bill back, thank you for all your service, because combined, they are big.
Keith's almost 20, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got first and second?
David was.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. We got a resolution to accept the resignation of Megan Moser as administrative assistant effective October 30th of this year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. And a resolution to accept the resignation of Frank Basile as fiscal manager effective November 25th of this year.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Both of them will miss. And so because of some of these retirements and resignations, we have a resolution to advertise for the anticipated town justice vacancy. Someone like that? Dave and Tom, okay. And so just this one, again, this is an elected position, so we're looking for letters of interest and for that position. And the position with, it's got 1 more year left on the term, so it would be anticipated that hopefully whoever is interested in this position will also be running in the spring for the election to be held next fall to fill the next 4-year term for that town justice.
Do we set a time limit for the letters of interest?
I think we had it as
It's
the
in the
ninth,
paper today.
yeah, the 19th of November
All 19.
by 12
Does that
o'clock.
person have to go to judge's school?
They do. So part of the timing of this is getting it in. We have to be able to pass a resolution of who we're going to approve or appoint, and then they have to attend. There's 5 days in early December for which they need to go. It'll be virtual, of course, like most trainings are, but it's required in order to be able to be
That's what I thought.
ready to take the helm in January. So all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. And then the resolution to advertise for the accounting position in the finance department.
I'll move it.
Second.
And this one, depending on the qualifications, we're looking to kind of have a range of potential offerings. And we were trying to get filled the fiscal manager position, and we had a tough time finding someone qualified to do that. So we have kind of, like I said, a range for what we're looking for that accounting position.
When we advertised before, was there anybody in that group other than Frank?
No,
No.
we advertised several times. We kept crafting it a little differently because we were looking and trying to get attention from people who had backgrounds in accounting and finance to apply.
That
All
was in
in-
the paper also.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Okay, now on to other finance resolutions. Resolutions authorizing the creation of new budget accounts. I don't know if you guys have any questions on these. The airport one had to do with the FAA funds that we're receiving. So we need an expense and a revenue line item to be able to accept those grant funds and then be able to expend them. And then the first one is we hired a new justice court clerk. So we did not have a drug and alcohol screening hearing line item.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution authorizing the following budget adjustments. These are all broken out by their funds, so you see a grouping in the first bracket, it's just general related, they're all preceded by the letter A. The next group is highway, preceded by the letter DA. The next group is sewer, preceded by the letters SS. And then the next group is water, preceded by the letters SW. Those are all adjustments that are occurring within existing line items to cover those additional expenses that were over. And then the last three items in the DA fund, the highway fund, the sewer fund, and both sewer funds, one for a district and one for the parent district, those are all being covered by fund balance for those particular expenses and their respective fund balances. So
That pay order, again?
Yeah.
So I'll move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution authorizing the following budget transfers. Again, these are broken out by fund, A, DA, and water. And these are all coming, these transfers are coming from contingency to cover expenses that would be over otherwise.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. The next is a resolution authorizing the following inter-fund loans. So these are monies that will be paid back once the funding is received. So we had the French Sawmill, we have the HVAC planning grant at the sewer, we have the culvert New York, which is a culvert replacement designing work that's being done right down Veterans Road. And then District 7 also had some need for interfund loan.
At HVAC, they're doing like the short-term and the long-term study, right? On that?
Yeah.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Yeah, there's a number of different areas that they're looking at regarding the sewer plant. And then the last one is a resolution authorizing the following budget transfers. This is money from the general fund to 861, which is the current capital fund for the Chilson Eagle Lake water exploration. Normally these would come from a district. That is not, because Chilson Eagle Lake is not a district right now, the general fund can't fund that. If it ever does become a district, then those monies would be paid for by the district back to the general fund.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution to pay the abstract.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution to accept the supervisor's report as submitted.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Resolution to schedule a public hearing for the Chilson Fire Department for December 10th at 6 p.m. This is a normal resolution passed every year regarding the town collecting monies and having a contract with Chilson Fire Department to be able to disperse those monies for their budget request.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Check what else I had.
Special meeting.
Special meeting.
Yeah, I know, I was looking at my notes on that. So we did not adopt the budget tonight. There's a couple things that we still are in discussion over, so we have to the 20th of November to make that, to adopt the budget. I'm looking for a resolution to schedule that for that, on the 20th. I don't know if I have that time in there. I was thinking like late morning, early afternoon. That's,
We're supposed to be out of town on the 20th.
oh, right, okay.
We have to do
Are
it.
you gonna be,
We have to do it on the 20th.
well, no, I'm just trying to, we have a couple other discussions that were still in, a couple other things that are still in flux that we're trying to get information for that would factor in any changes that we need to make. So I don't, depending on, no, that's going to be.
We have to complete that on the 20th.
Yeah, the 20th is the last date by which the budget can be adopted, but it's Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
Okay. That's the 19th.
Tuesday the 19th.
Morning sometime, and we'll set it up.
Right. Yeah, I've got two meetings, potentially one at the county and then one at the airport. Is the afternoon work?
Yeah.
Can it work? I mean, like,
Yep.
at 2 o'clock? Is that okay? I know that,
Right now it works.
is that without
2 o'clock on the 19th.
on the 19th?
No trees to go.
Probably. But they can wait.
We'll set that down for two.
Yeah, well, so, did someone, I don't know if anyone moved it.
No, you didn't have a date yet.
All right. So, November 19th, 2 PM,
I'll move it.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So carried?
Here, right?
Yeah.
That's it, we're gonna pay for that time.
No. I have another resolution that was not on here, Tanya probably has it, regarding the authorizing settlement of the Article 7 real property assessment case commenced by Walmart Real Estate Trust, number 2424. You had that in your packets.
Yeah, from that.
Okay.
I'll move it.
I'll second. Tom seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
We need to individually vote on that.
Is there roll call?
Okay. Mark Russell,
Aye.
Tom Cunningham.
Aye.
Joyce Cooper. Ben Woods.
Aye.
Joe Giordano.
Aye. That's all I have, Tanya. I don't know if you had anything else, any announcements. You had a couple items you were going to bring up. What you mentioned, both.
Well,
Joyce mentioned that.
She already went through her committee minutes, and
Right.
we were all in agreement that we would like to ask the attorney to come up with a local law to clear the hunting on any town property.
Right.
So I can let Matt know if all board agrees on that, they can start working on that.
He was gonna draft it, he sent some maps of the parcels.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for direction from you guys.
Yeah, the
You
ones
want
that
a
are all three.
you want a resolution?
Yeah.
And
Just want to make sure you're all in agreement.
Yep.
the burnout structure on John Street.
So Dick, you can't put your tree stand up on that piece of illegal lake anymore.
Well, we're working on that.
We've had trouble with people wanting to hunt literally right behind homes in town, so.
So just specifically, Matt's going to be drafting
A local law prohibiting hunting on any town-owned properties,
based, okay.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
Just-
Yes.
There needs some signs too.
As soon as we get the local law done,
Yeah.
then we can post it.
Do we have to have a public hearing on that?
We will, yep, when he drops it up, and then we'll schedule it. I don't want to push him. Yeah, well, it's not going to happen until next year.
Okay, and then, planning and zoning, or,
Well, as I explained, I think last month or the month before, with our issues of finding people to sit on our boards, volunteer on our boards, we have an issue right now with ZBA. I've been advertising for well over a year. We have 2 members, plus there's supposed to be an alternate that are vacant and have been for years. And in talking with the ZBA and the planning board members, they all are agreeable that they wouldn't mind seeing it as a combined board. So I would like to be able to ask Matt to start that process too, if you guys are in favor of that.
Zoning board and planning board combination, one committee.
Yes.
It should be easy.
All good?
I agree.
yeah, it's typically it's like a 5-person.
ZBA is a 5-person board, planning board is a 7-person board. Normally there's an alternate on each board. To combine it, it will be considered a zoning board, and there will be 5 members with 2 alternates.
There's some trouble with 10 people.
Yeah. I can only beg so many.
Does that take special training to serve on this?
You have to have at least 4 hours of training every year. But there's a lot of avenues for training for those. A lot of webinars that they do.
this time we'll open it back up for public comment. Just please stand and state your name and ask your question or share your comment.
One question, clarification actually, the Armory Garage, do I understand correctly, we're currently using one bay for the senior bus and we're still using one bay for the weights and measures vehicle?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Right now-
It's in there now.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Not the senior bus.
Senior bus
The
is
weights and measure truck is in there.
right.
So there was a discussion by the board as to what the proper rate to charge rent to the county was for that.
I called some rental places and all the rental things around there, they're $250 a month for a vehicle.
So is that the town's plan to increase that to a more market rate?
Yeah, we haven't, we just,
We have to formally go back to the county.
yeah, we have to,
It kind of came up with $250 a month.
But that's the plan.
Didn't renegotiate that yet.
Right.
yeah, we're gonna,
The
the
one,
plan is to make it.
Well, it's a fair market rate.
Yes.
I think the only thing in this case is it's not solely their space because the water department does still use it for storing water-related and sewer-related items, so, you know, they still have access to it, but yeah, it would be for the county.
Thank you.
And as far as the senior bus goes, it'd be a much better place to put the senior bus being
So
inside.
having
the building.
a door openers and stuff. So they can,
Lose the air conditioning.
Hmm?
So don't lose the air conditioning.
Right. Or premature corrosion.
Bus should last another 10 years.
The only thing I had is, Mark and Laura here, we did have some, got some positive comments about the decorations. I know, there was, the town, we had to purchase some other stuff, but didn't go unnoticed. He spent quite a bit of time on the street with the fire department, and there was some traffic control, so just want to say thank you. I know it's been recognized by the board, they look nice, and,
26.5 hours to take the old lights off and put the new lights on.
well, Christmas spirit is good for the community, get things going, and holiday, I'm not sure what everybody's preference is for the terminology. I'm a Christmas person, so, but.
Was that straight through?
No, it was,
6.5
no, it was 2 or 3 hours a day for 3 weeks, but next year we'll call you, Tom, you can help out.
But
Chad, you back and take the sensors off.
You know, our driveway is exactly 50 feet long, I just want you to know that, which is one garden length.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
What?
Down to dust sensors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had to take those down.
Lights kept them on.
About 3 lights which would be great.
so thank you, and those people.
You're welcome.
I like the candy canes, it's nice celebration.
Hey, Joe, is the airport making an appreciable profit to warrant all the work that goes on out there? And I know up to a couple of years ago, it was major vandalism out there. Has that decreased?
Yeah, we're working on,
Yeah. We just put cameras up.
we've been,
More higher resolution cameras and two extra ones that shine on the gate and cover the whole area.
Are we catching anybody? And what's the consequences if we do catch them?
The consequences, I don't know.
Are we catching any of the vandals?
I don't think there's been any.
What is the consequences if we do
Mark,
catch them?
Mark could probably, we haven't had any vandalism up there.
No, not that I know.
Okay.
We had one guy go in at night and he didn't do anything, he got out of his car. The old cameras picked him up, but we couldn't get a license
Yeah,
number.
that's what I'm
or anything
saying. A
else,
couple of
so-
years ago, it was a hotbed for vandalism.
He didn't do any vandalism or anything, he laughed, but we had better cameras put up, so we,
But the airport is making a profit for the town.
I don't know.
so the airport sells fuel, so it does bring in some money, right, to offset some of the costs. The work that's being done at the airport is 90% paid for by the federal government through FAA funding. That's approved through our local ADO, Airport District Office down in JFK. And this particular year, because of the COVID, the projects that we're currently working on are 100% funded by the federal government, so there was no town contribution. And further to that, just by the way in which the whole CARES Act was kind of rolled out, they gave municipal airports like ours an additional $20,000 on eligible expenses. So yeah, we've been taking advantage as much as possible of the free money we have, the grant money that we have, to improve that, you know, that facility, because it is a source, can be definitely a bigger source of economic development in the future.
Yeah, okay, I don't know if this question had ever been answered, but there was a question about, from the hurricane, that there was funding to repair the dam up at the gooseneck.
You had asked
Has
this,
that ever been resolved?
you had asked this question before.
Not me personally, but
Yeah.
I know other people have.
No, no, I know.
That's why I'm asking the question
Why?
now. Has it been resolved that there was funding, or had there been funding? And was it used, or if not, what has it been used for, or has it been given back?
Irene, I think it's,
Oh, system back to like 2011.
yeah, I believe it's from Irene.
The big hurricane that we had.
I'd rather let our attorney speak to that, because he was the one who, when it was brought up, went back and looked into exactly what the situation was, but there has been no money expended to my knowledge. But I think there might still be potential for, you know, to be able to utilize it. I don't know how that works, because it's part of FEMA. So,
Well, just make sure Mr. Richardson knows about
okay.
it. And Mr. Cunningham, I know the sidewalks down the village need a lot of work, but the ones up in Chilton are in terrible, terrible shape.
We have a problem existing across our community that needs to be addressed as far as sidewalk repairs. Yes.
Well, you know what's the biggest challenge is we can't get people to bid to do the sidewalk repairs. We've got grant money to, what was, you were.
I think it's
$100,000.
We put another,
People make sidewalks?
yeah, we've gone out to bid a number of times, and we've had a very hard time finding people to come in and bid.
We tried to, Mr. Woods approached the people who were doing St. Mary's Church recently personally to see, hey, we've got, X
I
number
got
of
3
feet.
bidders now.
We've got, it's starting to come together, but we've had challenges with getting people. Where are the other sidewalks up by near you? There's no sidewalks.
There's no jet sidewalks.
Oh, no, but I thought in that,
The shoulder.
at the top, I thought there were some there. Possibly where those homes are, and
No.
No.
I wasn't positive on that corner.
Ours have always been bad shape.
Maybe it was just a
We don't even need a snowplow to.
maybe it was just a well-being path to where Fraser's used to be.
I just mind more just a comment or a question. Does everybody on the town board have a town law book? Or do you use your attorney for reference?
What did you ask?
We have a town law.
Town law book.
Town law book?
I have.
The only reason I'm asking is I know you made reference that the budget has to be done by November 20th, but the preliminary budget has to be done the Thursday on or before after the general election.
You mean the hearing?
Correct.
Yes, yes.
So, and
So
the
that,
first notice that was in the paper, because I know I called Tanya, was after, it was the Saturday after that you were having it on the 12th. So I guess it's like very disheartening to think that people are on this board and either aren't asking an attorney or they don't know the law themselves. There's other things that I have questions on. I've talked to you about them. I have many more. I don't know if you want me to bring them up in a public meeting or if you want to call me. But the more that I look at stuff, the more I find that is wrong with this town.
Absolutely.
I've never been so engaged until we had that conversation up at Chelsea Fire Department, when an employee told me that there was no way they were doing teleconferencing. And I want this on record. They were not doing teleconferencing with the water and sewer, or the water up at Chilton, that said, I'll check with the supervisor. I have the email if anybody wants to see it. You are in violation of a public open meetings law, and you are in violation of an executive order. And you know what they told me? Too bad. I drove from Albany up here to be at that meeting at 6 o'clock. Correct? Was I not here?
you were at the meeting, sure.
Correct. No, I couldn't say make sure I was
Well, I'm
there.
not, all the other stuff, the other things you're
But
insinuating.
there's so many other things that are not even in the minutes that are required. I've read every minute that happens here. I've read every workshop. You guys are passing resolutions at workshops, and you cannot do any business at a workshop other than to discuss things. That's the only thing you can do.
I
You can
think
discuss.
if you look closer, it was with any other lawful business
It
attached.
doesn't, it doesn't matter.
Okay, well, we
And
can,
then
that's
you
up
go
for
to your
debate.
next
Fine.
regular board meeting, and then you can vote on it. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about at the workshop, but you have to act on it at your regular board meeting. So my suggestion to help you guys out, so you don't have all these questions and comments, is get a law book, or get your attorney here and have him answer questions during the meeting.
He usually is here.
Do you regularly have contact with them? I mean, there's another law there. I looked January 20th, that I'm waiting for the report of the officers, the town officers. They have to be in your January meeting. They're not in there. The audit expenditures. Haven't seen them. I've looked through every single report that's listed out there. I had a call today. Well, let me back up. I had a call and asked Tanya when the preliminary budget was going to be posted. I had a call today about the Ticonderoga Fire Department budget. I myself am a fire commissioner. I deal with town law all the time. I know when these things need to be done. Not listed, wasn't annexed, there was no exemption report. I didn't even have that information before the meeting. Supervisor said he was going to get that information, you're going to have to put it out on the internet. But people can't make informed decisions if they don't have the information ahead of time. You can't do it after the fact. So my suggestion is, get a town law book and read up on it. Because I'm going to tell you guys, if you don't know the town law, you shouldn't be on the town board.
I'm next, I hope. I agree with everything that this lady just told you. I've uncovered all this myself, and I've kept it to myself. Bottom line here is this. You said in the paper $574 million on the tax base and $14 million in assessments. Part of that. Then now you're raising the water tax up. I don't know why. You got extra money. You shouldn't have to raise your water tax up. That means you're not being friendly to the people. The salaries in the paper, not in agreement with. You should not be getting any pay increase. You should have never got the increase you got last year. The property assessment on that piece of property that you spent $130,000 of our money on, that was a no-no. You should never have done it, regardless of what you have planned down the road. I'm actually following up on that. That was poor. That was mishandled our money. The water increase, no way. The cable TV, I just heard that you're going to allow them to go ahead and raise the rate. You're the administrator. You can tell them no. Yeah, you can.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you can. You can tell them no because it's, but you won't. This is what you guys are not fiscally responsible to the people of this town. Okay, I know that. Half of you shouldn't even be on the board, and that's all I have to say.
Which have,
You shouldn't be on it. He shouldn't be on it.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Frank. Anyone else have any more comments? Any board members have any comments? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you for your participation.